strong mid jungle that we can look to play through and try and win through that instead. So this is a lot of the mind games we've seen start to creep up on red side, where you'll end up leaving open 2 of these big picks and making sure that you're going to be in a good spot then to try and follow through. Renata as well, I completely forgot, got through the draft phase. So LGD actually prioritized on Renata, but now you can go for the Zeri, the Sylas, the Wukong. There's a ton of options here for WWE.
I feel like there's the Zeri and the Wukong were like, these are the 2 picks. Then Renata gets picked. We're like, oh, okay, yeah, no, Renata's pretty good. And then Sylas as well. It's like, okay, these teams do not have the same priorities that we have. As Sylas goes through, I will say Shanks to Sylas, exceptionally good, right? This is one of the champs that he's made his name for himself on. And then the Zeri's still open. We talked about Xing being really the big carry for the side of WE. Good to see him getting a strong pick.
Yeah, and I like the idea here from LGD. Renata's very good against teams that want to jump in on top of you. And having a Sylas and a Zeri, which were the 2 big picks that we were kind of looking at, and even if you go for the Wukong as well, Renata very strong against that. So now for LGD, I imagine they are going to just take the Wukong here for Kui. But Fearness, as we said, big carry player, so maybe they're not even going to look at that. I still think if for WE though, you're playing a very short range composition. I mean, a Wukong would be fantastic here, so I'm surprised LGD aren't kind of taking that one away from themselves. It gives great engage for something like an Aphelios, and it works super well for setup for the Renata as well, but actually just going to go straight towards the Fiora for Fearness.
Kind of surprised to see this just blind picked in this way, but I suppose it's one of these picks that has been banned a massive amount this split. We've barely seen it, but we've seen it banned a lot. Will be answered with the Jax up the top side, not wanting Demon to get pinched in his first ever game.
So the reason we're seeing a lot more Fiora is with the durability patch, with health being upgraded, Fiora just inadvertently got a buff because her passive procs are all based on max health. So as people got more healthy, well, Fiora just became stronger because she was dealing more damage off of her max health procs. And as well, then the durability patch meant that she was just tankier and harder to deal with. And then as well, with her ultimate, also just adding a bunch more passive procs to it. Of her max health procs, and then having a bunch of healing for team fights, Fiora just became an absolute nuisance to deal with in the top side. So we saw a lot of teams pick it up. It did get nerfed on 12-12 though, so we kind of started to see it fall away, but Fearness still a very big proponent of it. LGD though, going to start banning away some of these supports. I thought we'd actually see jungle bans. I felt like, especially from WE, like when you get first rotation here, you can take your jungle, keep your counter pick support. I assumed that's what we'd go for, but instead they're just trying to get rid of things that can be a bit of a nuisance here for the Sylas.
Rise taken off the board as well with the band here. A few things still available to take into the Sylas. Obviously, any ranged mid laner will do reasonably well in the short term, right? In the early stages. Yeah, the one downside of the Azir is you do give Sylas an Azir ult, which can be terrifying in of itself. But I feel like we're in one of these metas where Sylas is just getting good ults. It doesn't really matter what you pick. Like, I mean, he's going to have at least a couple of good ults.
The reason I like Azir and the reason he was in our circle of suck is you get to poke him out of lane, keep the Sylas super pushed in, and then when you get in towards team fights, yes, the Sylas might have an Azir ult, but oftentimes you're able to get your own ultimate off faster as the Azir. You're able to back the Sylas out of the fight, especially up against things like a Wukong is super good, Zeri the short range, even a Jax as well. Having the opportunity to reset these fights in Azir could be great. You have fantastic late game scaling here as well for LGD. The only issue that I'm seeing for LGD though is they really need some sort of engage here because Fearness has gone for the Fiora. Renata doesn't really cut it, so I don't know if Haichao wants to try and bring in something that can offer some sort of engage, but I don't even know what you can go for in the mid lane right now that could bring that to the table.
Scion mid back on the table. That's
Let's
all
go.
I'm saying. I mean, Haichao has loved the Galio. It's a champion that sometimes we see in the LPL as an attempted engage tool. I don't really personally subscribe to that mentality, but it does feel like a few of our teams do. But Ahri as well. You could just try and play for picks, right? Especially with the Viego, Ahri can be an incredibly strong 2v2.
Yeah, I just think from LGD, the Fiora kind of draft them into a corner now where they wanted to go for strong team fight, but now they just don't really have an engage tool. And this is why I've kind of been a bit annoyed watching LGD's drafts. It feels like they kind of pick individually and don't really think holistically about their compositions. And yes, you've got you know, Viego and Ahri can be a good combo, but you're up against like a Wukong and a Sylas, like that skirmishing combo is so much more difficult to deal with. So I just don't really see an opportunity for LGD to win the mid jungle. Now they won't be able to win the bot lane either, because you just won't have the mid jungle to try and play down towards that bottom side. You have a ton of really good engage now coming through with Shanks, View, even Demon on the Jax, and counter pick for top side. I just much prefer what WE brought to the table.
I have to say as well, I'm kind of curious about this new look for Kedaya, right? We've seen him branching out a little bit more this split, but Lulu is still... Seeing Kedaya's name next to a picture of Lulu just breaks my brain, you know? I think of Rakan, I think of Amumu, I think of Alistair, I think of Hard Engage. Obviously, the Rakan was spanned away in this one, but curious to see how that one's going to go down in that bottom side. But look, we were talking about WE. We said, hey, Xing is the big carry. Xing is the guy that you got to set up. They've definitely set him up. WE have done a great job of making sure that Xing can do whatever he wants during these team fights.
And that's exactly what I'm looking at here. You've got phenomenal front line coming through. You've got the Lulu coming through for Kedaya that can end up working very well with Zeri by like speeding her up, providing shields, allowing her to play that like short range and be way more aggressive in team fights. The only thing I am worried about is, as you say, Kedaya on Lulu. The last time we saw Kedaya on Lulu was back in spring, and it went disastrously. Like, he did not know how to position in lane. He got caught out a whole bunch of times. So as long as Kedaya is able to keep it easy and breezy, I'm looking forward to what WE can do. It feels like you've got strong mid jungle, ability to play around bot side, ability to set up for these early dragons, and just slowly but surely get yourself into a strong mid game.
I will say the one thing I am liking on the side of LGD is this Renata Aphelios on the bottom side, right? We always talk about Renata Kalista. I feel like that never makes it through the draft anymore. This Renata Aphelios is starting to replace that in my mind, where teams consistently underestimate what it can bring to the table. Loving that little LGD skybox we got there with the sort of cell-shaded towers. Very nice. As LGD try and make something cheeky happen at level 1 here. I expected them to back away there, but it looks like they're still moving forwards for now. But Xing will spot them out, and that'll be the end of the play here.
Yeah, so not going to be able to get too much here. But it will still be a case of, like, how does Koi try and manage this early stages for LGD? Because definitely I think Aphelios and Renata are incredibly strong on this bottom side. It has actually come out as a counter in an awful lot of situations where teams are trying to eye up the Kalista Renata, where one team will take the Kalista, it's then responded with the Aphelios Renata, and you can play hyper aggressive in this lane because you've got the bailout, especially if you've got red-white guns for Assum. It becomes really, really difficult to deal with the movement speed upgrade coming through from the bailout as well as the attack speed buff. But I don't know how well they're going to be able to try and go for this, because definitely with Xing and Kedaya, you do have the ability to get a good amount of poke off as Kedaya here. The shields can come through as well, making trading a little bit more difficult. And also, if Xing just is popping you through the wave thanks to the E, it can be a little bit tough to try and get in on top of them. So we'll have to see exactly how all this ends up panning out as the game goes on. But I think just even with the control over the mid lane that View should be able to help Shanks get, that's where I think Assum's going to struggle.
A little bit of trading down at the bottom side here. JinJiao getting some good procs on down using his shield, but then tanking a few hits for his trouble there. I'm not sure that was quite as positive as he had wanted originally. His Fearness should be able to proc the vitals, although his Q might be on cooldown there. We'll finally get it in the end. It's one of these matchups as well, I think, Jax and Firoa, where it is somewhat of a skill matchup, right? Even though it is somewhat of a counter, you can dodge a lot of the auto attacks and things. With the riposte there, it can make the matchup quite spicy if Demon misplays.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that it's definitely Jack's favorite, because Jax holds the agency on when he pops the counter-strike. With the riposte, you've got to try and make sure that you're actually timing that correctly, so that then you're hitting the counter-strike. But because how long the counter-strike can last, it becomes a little bit messy, and it becomes a lot of mind games on when that counter-strike is going to be popped versus the riposte. And it looks like actually Demon taking a poor trade in the top side, so View might be trying to correct things. Koi is on this top end as well, though, so this could be a spicy 2v2 in the top side.
It certainly could. Fearness will grab himself that cannon, dodges away from the counter-strike from Demon here. It looks like View decides to back away. Obviously was on that ward, but Quay is also going to be on a ward. Luckily, there's a Scryer's Bloom there for him. Clears that one out. Should be able to grab himself this Scuttle Crab. And with priority in the mid lane, Dagda, he might just waltz on down and grab the double Scuttle.
Yeah, he's got priority bot side as well. Wouldn't be surprised. Koi, though, going to try and get some information on where View is going to be at the moment. He's actually going to steal away these Raptors as well. This is one of the reasons that we see the Viego coming through so often on this patch is just how quickly his clear is. You can see there, like, View, nothing to be snuffed at, but he's completely cleared away the entirety of his jungle, apart from his Krugs. Now stealing away Raptors, has also done his own Scuttle Crab as well, and actually might be looking for a play on topside here.
I can't tell if he wants to dive or if he was trying to counter jungle View here.
Oh, Fearness.
Oh, Fearness. No. Oh, God, it's gone so terribly. Quay tries to flash, but it's too little too late. Demon now trying to escape. Nobody anywhere near him. Jumps to the ward. No flash available on either side, but the stun is there. And Quay does manage to, salvage the play in the top lane.
But that's exactly an example of what we were talking about with the riposte versus the Counter-Strike interaction. You've got to try and predict it as Fearness. He messes it up. Demon just holds onto that Counter-Strike for a little bit longer and manages to get the stun under the tower. We'll see it here, right? Counter-Strike starts up. Fearness tries to predict the early Counter-Strike, but Demon just holds onto it. And this is why this matchup is so difficult for the Fiora in a lot of situations. Flash forward from Demon as well. And I actually thought he was going to get out of here, but
yeah, I did
just
too.
barely being clipped by the Maw means that he will get caught.
I think the hilarious thing is as well, like, even if Fearness does get the riposte there, he's still taking a tower shot. Like, I still think he might end up going down in that situation. Crucially, though, we talked about Quay getting a double scuttle. That has not happened. View gets the opportunity now to move to that bottom side, grab the scuttle for himself. You can see that CS difference in the jungle so far fairly similar off the back of all of that. Obviously, Quay grabbing that kill for himself, so he'll have a gold advantage at very least. Bit of an intense start to things, though, honestly, for two teams, Dagda, that generally speaking are fairly passive.
Yeah, I mean, at least we're getting this early aggression out for them, right? Both teams realizing, hey, look, this is our chance, right? 1-8 for LGD, 0-10 for WE. WE really want to get a good start. And, I mean, speaking of good starts, Demon already with the kill for his name, getting that counter playing the top side. First game in the LPL, and at least the top side for WE looking pretty good thus far.
Yeah, definitely. Demon now just counter-juggling. Takes the grab. He wants some wolves as well. He's abandoned top lane entirely while it's underneath the tower.
Look at View. View's like, hey, bro, wait, that's my job. Hang on.
He's going to be able to grab the big wolf. He'll walk away. View coming over to help support his top laner. And hey, honestly, if I'm View, I've got an LDL rookie having his first game in the LPL. I'm more than happy to let him have everything he could possibly need, because now he can move back up to this top side after grabbing himself a couple of camps. Tries to start onto Fearness, both level 6 now, so this matchup gets real explosive.
Yeah, it definitely does, especially if junglers want to make their way up here. View won't be 6 for a little while, so you still got to wait a couple more camps before he's able to hit that. You can see Kui has only just hit his level 5 there, so I don't think we'll see too much off this big wave that's being pushed in by Fearness. Shanks dodges away from one, will get hit by the Maw, but still going to be fine in this mid lane.
Yeah, nicely done there by Shanks to dodge away from the charm. That could have been deadly if the charm had landed. Here we go in the top side. Demon going in. Big trade onto Fearness here. Look at the state of the wave, Dagda. Yeah. This is really bad news for Fearness, but it looks like Demon realizing he can't tank all of that, but I think that's held just outside of tower range.
Yeah, it will be held just outside. So nice stuff from Demon. And I think that's one of the really interesting things about like trading as a Jax is like oftentimes people go, oh, I don't want that big wave. But if you get auto attacked while your counter strikers up, it actually ramps up in damage up to 5 stacks. And those stacks can come from the minions as well. Yeah. So if you end up trading in these big waves, those auto attacks actually end up helping you an awful lot of the time and getting this nice little bit of burst damage off, and you can leap strike away. But LGD, with the control that they have on the bottom side of the map, are going to be able to get this dragon for themselves as well. No Cloud Souls here today, which I'm already happy about. We're off to a good start for this Wednesday. But it will mean that Koi at least is going to keep trying to use this control. He definitely kind of feels like he's abandoning topside a little bit to help Assum, which honestly I think is the best game plan for LGD. It feels like getting this Aphelios ahead with the Renata there for the bailout is probably the best win condition LGD have.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that should be the case, at least for the time being, but we'll see if that develops, because here's one of the things about LPL as well, Dagda, is often we'll come into a game, we'll be like, here are the win conditions, and then craziness ensues in the first 10 minutes. It's like, forget those win conditions. This dude's got 4 kills, you know? So we'll have to say, I'm hoping for a bit of craziness. We had a little bit of craziness earlier on. It's been fairly quiet since that point. You can see in terms of CS as well, LGD are actually starting to build some advantages, right? 10 CS in the mid lane. There was a small lead in the bottom side as well, although that's been evened out. I guess there was a wave still to be collected from Xing. Feels like a fairly even way to start things off, but as we're broaching the level 6 mark or just beyond it, this is where things start to get spicy. Demon, half HP, walks into the brush, and that is just, there's not much you can do about that one.
No, it was just unfortunate timing. He took a bad trade against Fearness, didn't have TP up, and then got greedy to try and stick around for the waves. I think he just needed to cut his losses, know that he was just going to lose out on his creeps, but now he loses the creeps, he gives a kill across as well, and crucially dies right as Rift Herald is up too, so now you've got a lot of control here for LGD. A 2-man unit of WE moving in, but there's 3 people there for LGD already.
Yeah, you can see Kedaya's moved over as well to try and even up this score. Demon, no TP available, but looks like Quay is going to respect it. 3 plates went to Fearness on the top side, by the way, off the back of that play. And I think LGD basically saying, look, if we can get all of those plates, Kedaya's left bottom lane as well, so there's pressure for Assum and JinJiao on the bottom plates too. LGD essentially saying, look, we think we can make this a positive trade even with you getting there.
I am really surprised that they didn't fight that though. I mean, you've got the ultimate there for Fearness, Kui as well. Like, you have a lot of single target CC and damage. You focus down either View or Shanks, pick him off, pop the ultimate from Firoa, get a ton of healing. And, I mean, support is nice there for Kedaya, keep him alive a little bit longer, but there's just so much there that you can actually work with on LGD side. I'm surprised they didn't try and take the fight. But as you say, I mean, they're still getting wins, right? They get 1 plate on bot side because Kedaya roamed mid, and they got the 3 plates on top side. So all said and done, like, they're still winning. It's just interesting to me that they didn't try and take that fight.
I think maybe listening to my grandma's advice, which is you can't have your cake and eat it, deciding, look, we already got the plates. I think Fearness was pretty low mana as well, so they're just like, you know what, let's just play this one safe, lads.
But here's the thing.
Curious, though,
if Demon had just given across extra gold, and you can just get an extra cake, well, then you can have both cakes.
True.
See? Yeah.
But can you eat them is the question. And the answer is almost always yes. No matter what I've eaten before, I can eat the cake. You can see View hovering around the bottom side. They had priority to try and push in here, but deciding not to go for the Herald, at least for the time being. Still 1 minute and 30 until that next Drake comes up. I'm curious. I feel like View needs to pick a lane here that he wants to accelerate. In my mind, it's the Zeri, but I feel like they're struggling to find the lane pressure to get that off.
Yeah, and that's why I want to see the mid lane play first. I think trying to get Shanks ahead, like, even just burning... I know you've got the ultimate there for Haichao, but if you burn the Spirit Rush, you can maybe burn a Flash without actually investing your own ultimates. Well, that can really end up working out fantastic for you in just being able to get control over mid and then start to lean bot, which is why I think we're seeing them establish so much vision control in River to try and allow Kedaya to roam, see if they can be a nuisance in mid lane.
Ooh, Fearness could be in trouble here. The riposte doesn't come off in time. Now the ultimate's going to be coming out. Grand challenge there as Fearness heals back up. That's a massive amount of healing there. Ult for ult. Demon decides to back away.
Bone plating coming up at just the right time for Fearness there, stopping a lot of that follow-up damage. Maybe Demon could have tried to get a bit of a better trade, but as you say, bone plating into the healing from the Grand Challenge, doing a lot of work. Kui now coming into the mid lane with a good charm.
That's a cheeky little charm, isn't it? Kui trying to move over. There's JinJiao and Assum over the wall. They're going to lock Kedaya down a little bit here. He's going to survive. That wild growth, crucial, as now the rest of the team moves on in. Kedaya, nothing left in the tank and taken down, and now the rest of the team chase. Charm goes wide, though. Will just be the pick for LGD, but crucially, Drake's up in 10 seconds.
I'm way overextended there for Kedaya, trying to get the vision control down, but nice job from Assum and JinJiao to catch him out, and now he falls, so you won't have your support here as WE for this dragon. LGD have control over bot and mid. Really nice job from LGD to keep stealing this away, and you have decent scaling towards the late game with Assum, with Fearness for LGD, and if they can continue to keep finding these picks, that's already 2 dragons for themselves.
Assum grabbing the Scuttle Crab. Here we go. Fight on our hands as a laser across the team. And look at the knockups coming out from View. Assum gets the bailout, though. Turning things around. The lifesteal's not enough. Shanks now in trouble as he has the Spirit Rush still available. Quay slowed. Has to ult himself out to safety. It's a 1-for-1, but it was a messy battle.
I'm surprised that it only was 1-for-1. Haichao missing a charm at the start of that meant that it was a good engage for WE, and I thought that might have been it, but WE just not quite able to get the damage that they needed to follow up. Xing trying to see if he can answer for some turret plates on bot side with Kui here, and should be able to do so as Shanks, Shanks also pushing in that mid lane.
Demon trying to get these trades onto Fearness, dodges away from the riposte, nicely done, but he misses the cannon. Oh, it's a disaster. 11 CS down in the top side, despite having that counter pick. Feels like he's having a hard time with Fearness. We talked about this guy being a carry player at heart, and he is feeling comfortable on the Fiora.
Yeah, and look, across the board, LGD just look more comfortable, right? They've been able to execute on nice game plans with Assum and JinJiao catching their picks, setting up for Haichao and Kui. We've seen the rooms top. Like, LGD are just looking like a team. But for WE, it kind of, again, feels like everyone's working on their own individual basis. We haven't really seen View trying to cover Demon, say, on the top side, or giving him respite when he needs it, which led to that dive on top side. Now you've got a Rift Herald that just had to be plonked down in mid because WE weren't able to function as a unit to try and set up a play in mid, or, you know, push mid to roam bot with Shanks and then put down the Rift Herald. So it's all been a bit of a disaster. Now Demon getting a little bit of a worse for wear on these trades on top side. It's starting to go into dire straits for WE.
Yeah, it's not looking good, is it? 2,500 gold lead with the double Drake as well. And I mean, the saddest thing that's happened this game was just that Herald that just slowly waddled down the mid lane from View. He ran out of time, and then Haichao was like, "Oh, sure, I'll take 25 gold, thanks, bro." Yeah. Just takes it happily. Quay moving up to make sure Fearness can just finish this tower off, but spoilers, he can. And Fearness now absolutely monstrous. Level 11 as well as he finishes the tower off. Has a 20 CS lead for himself. And this Fiora, I think we're about to discover why it's been such a high priority pick this split.
Yeah, JinJiao is aware the Few's on the spot side, so LGD gonna run away.
He's aware? Is that enough? Is awareness enough, Dagda? I'm not so sure. As Xing just lasers down Assum. So, a nice little positive play here for WE. They lose the tower on the top side, but at least off the back of this, they should be able to trade towers.
Yeah, LGD needs to back away a lot quicker or fully commit to trying to turn the dive. You do have the hostile takeover, which is what I was thought JinJiao was going to try and play around, but deciding not to is a bit curious to me. Because I was actually about to praise the amount of control LGD had in this bottom side. Like, there is so many wards on that bot side. Even 2 of them had even died while that play was happening. So I assumed that they were just going to back away and make sure they were all fine. You got the win on top side. You can get this Rift Tower, which Koi is now on as well, but end up giving over the kill onto Assum and giving that turret now to Xing is actually opening up WE to have a win condition now in this Zeri once more, with Xing and Kedaya, thanks to View, getting that advantage.
Yeah, I will say, like, I'm liking what WE bringing to the table, though. Like, being proactive despite being this far behind, I think it's crucial, right? We talked about Shanks on this Sylas. He's now level 11, so he could start to get more proactive. As you say, Xing grabbing a couple of kills for himself. The shield bow finished off. And we all know that this Zeri, when you start to hit 2-3 items, you really start to melt people with the Ultra Shock laser. So we'll have to see if WE can start to change their fortune here. Still 2,000 gold down. That next straight coming up in a minute's time, Dagda. And LGD with the first 2, but I feel like maybe there's a chance WE could fight for it.
I actually thought that LGD would send Haichao to topside, have Haichao push in, then roam through the enemy jungle, look for a potential dive on mid lane with the Rift Herald, and then like set up to move in towards the dragon afterwards. But having Fearness in topside, yes, he's got the teleport, but I just don't really think he's going to be able to achieve too much. You can even see him resetting here. He's just going to walk to the dragon instead, which I don't think is kind of utilizing all the advantages that they have, because Demon will have his TP up now, so as this Rift Herald goes down, you can always have Demon TP in towards the mid lane. So it's just a bit unfortunate on the timing here for LGD, and WE now in a position where View and Shanks trying to see if they can find those flank positions.
Dagda, I think your expectations of what LGD are going to pull off macro-wise might be a little out of whack, because that sounded like quite a complex play. I've not seen much complex play out from LGD this split. They do at least get the tower mid with the Herald, and now move over towards this Drake. It's Drake spawning here. WE, though, group it up, and like we said, they do want to fight for this one. Good control, with 3 control wards in the area to try and deny vision from LGD, but LGD know they're strong. They try and muscle it.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get a good engage off here for View, this could be it. He's hovering.
Oh, Few with the triple knock up there. The rest of WE moving on in, but do they have the damage? Laser across the team. Demon being the front line, but finally falls here. Shanks has to re-engage, but just doesn't have the damage. Nobody's even taken damage on LGD as they just back away. Xing has stacked up, but ultimately it's just a 1-for-0. LGD get a reset, push mid, and then they can return to the Dragon again.
Yeah, Assum got to heal up. Again, though, you're lacking major engage tools here. So a flash sharp from Haichao would only be it, but WE still going to respect it. They're going to back away, have Shanks TP to topside, see if he can push in. But, I mean, just a great engage from View, with just nobody on WE really there to try and follow up quickly enough.
Yeah, I mean, didn't feel like there was much to work with there. And I have to say, I'm starting to question the Sylas pick, because I said during Champ Select, this is a meta where Sylas just has great ults all the time, but actually on this team, there really aren't that many good Sylas ults. Obviously the Renata ult, but other than that, not a lot to work with.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Shanks doesn't have any. Oh, Shanks doesn't have any ultimate at the moment at all, which makes it a little bit difficult. I think he just threw out the bailout or the hostile takeoff at the start. But I mean, Xing missing with the laser, not going to be doing too much. View as well, because he's been set behind, not able to provide as much damage. And Xing is trying, but you can see Shanks just not really able to bring a huge amount to the table. And it's not even from an ultimate perspective. It just feels like they don't have View tanky enough at the moment to really provide that big engage, and you kind of need people to follow up immediately with the Wukong, but just that hesitation coming through from the likes of Shanks and View and the communication not quite there causes a lot of issues there for WE.
Certainly did, and it means a third Drake as well, crucially for LGD. 5 minutes or 4 minutes now until that Soul win condition comes online. We just talked about WE kind of lacking damage in that previous fight. Well, a couple of Mountain Drakes will certainly not make that any easier for them, as LGD already with one in the bag, stacking up those resistances. You see Fearness just having a whale of a time, just clearing up waves every which way. WE move into the Baron area here. I don't think this is something that's really on the cards. Maybe just trying to fight for some vision.
Yeah, the fact that you have all three sweepers down though, and you're still not able to get into river to clear out the wards, is a little bit of a disaster here for WE. So they basically got spotted moving in as this big 5-man unit on the top side. So Fearness gets the push in for free on bot, knowing that he's going to be completely safe. LGD will now move in and kind of clear out any vision that was established by WE. And for WE, you have to look for picks at this stage. Like using Shanks' View to try and burst someone down, maybe having Xing coming into the backside just to try and pick off members of LGD is your best bet. But unfortunately, with the way that this game is going and with the lack of control WE have been able to establish on the map, it looks really tough. But they're looking for the pick on Assum. I just don't know if they'll get there.
Yeah, going to be a tough one. JinJiao, though, might be in a bad spot. And Fearness continues to pressure in the bottom side. As a Demon has been feeling that pressure this game as well. Remember, I don't want to be too harsh on the guy because this is his first game. Xing caught, but dashes away across the wall and abandons his jungler. See you later, View, says Xing as he zips away.
I mean, that's just so unfortunate for WE. Jungler dying right in front of Baron. Nice pick from LGD. And now you have to force the TP out from Demon, but you're still going to be fighting a 4 versus 5. But we just saw how the 5v5 went.
He certainly did. Oh, great little charm as well from Haichao. He's been on it with the charms today. But looks like LGD going to respect the potential fight from WE and not go for the Baron, at least for the time being. Even with a 4v5, even with View down, they don't want to overforce.
I mean, they got Demon's TP, which is really just a big win in and of itself. Now Fearness has as much control as he wants in this bottom side. Even getting the Ravenous Hydra picked up as well means he'll be able to push incredibly fast. So as long as LGD can push mid, continue to threaten Baron, they'll be able to take this no problem. But as you can see there, I mean, you trying to set up for that pick if someone was moving in, but a 3-man unit from LGD was not what he expected to find on the opposite side of that.
I mean, he even gets his W at the end there. Like, he's CC'd for most of his health bar. W's on about 200 HP. And just him and the clone die. Like, they're really not worried about which one is the clone at that point in the fight. It's a minute until Drake, though. And Dagda, I feel like we're getting to dire straits for WE. It's a, what, 5,000 gold lead in favor of LGD. What's the silver lining here, Dagda? Talk to me. Sort me out. How did WE stay in this game?
I mean, it is looking for picks, but again, like, Okay, so Shanks is up on top side. You've got 45 seconds until Dragon. They really needed to like move in as a 5-man unit, establish vision on bot side, and then try and play 4 picks off that vision. But with people being separated, they're not able to do it. Xing kind of giving the game away here as well by end up missing out on that W. And now LGD are like, cool, we'll just start to move in here slowly but surely. Fearness is still pushing top side, so if you're quick, maybe you can make something work here as WE before Fearness can actually get into the fight. But LGD are just going to threaten Baron with the guns that Assum has.
And crucially, WE have to move over to try and stop the Baron attempt, while Fearness, with TP still available, that TP advantage during the previous Baron play, can just hit this tier 2 up in the top side. And WE, you can see them caught between a rock and a hard place. They don't know what decision to make. They're not sure where to move on the map, but they've sent Xing to solo the Drake.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, Shanks should be the one contesting Fearness on the top side. He's the one still with TP, but his position on the map has not been good thus far. Now, I mean, he's got the hostile takeover. He needs to make this big.
Oh, pick in the mid lane. LGD do not want the Drake. They want themselves a fight. As over the wall they go. Haichao trying to finish off Kedaya. Doesn't quite have the damage. Finally gets it. His demon arrives, but I don't think he's going to be able to do much here. The grand challenge will heal the whole squad for LGD here. A double kill for Haichao. And over to the Baron we go.
Yeah, unfortunately for WE, their understanding of how they need to play the map is just being crumpled underneath LGD. LGD get the picks. They'll get themselves over towards the Baron, and look, they don't get the Dragon, but they'll be pretty happy with the big purple worm buffs.
Certainly will. Xing trying to get a laser on in Quake. Pretty low on HP, but does get the Baron here, and this is now a 2v5. This is not a fight that you want, WE. Xing trying to escape as well. The laser's there, but Fearness is an absolute monster. Xing just flees for his life as Shanks goes down. I feel like this is getting from bad to worse here, Dagda, on the side of WE. LGD, though, I have to say, looking kind of clean, right? The way that they're playing the map, the way that they are setting things up here. I feel like LGD have come in with game plan.
I mean, they're looking fantastic. And Haichao, as you say, Charms have been on point here, making sure that he's able to get on towards so many of these crucial members. The bailout as well, coming through from Shanks, means that you actually don't connect onto a huge amount of people here. So WE with the Spirit Rush over the wall coming through from Haichao, he's not caught by the bailout. Why do I keep saying bailout for this ultimate? For the takeover. The hostile takeover.
The hostile Dude, I get it as well. I do it all the time. Like, every single time I try and think of Renata roll, I think of bailout first, and then hostile takeover.
I mean, it doesn't matter. They're both broken, so...
Yeah, those are the two. I feel like there's a lot of champions where it's like you don't need to know the ability names except for 1 or 2 abilities. Yeah. I was going to say Renata's one of those champions, but actually I feel like the handshake is kind of important as well. Yeah. So maybe you just need to know everything for Renata.
Yeah, I mean, the only one you don't need to know is Loyalty Program, because it's called Loyalty Program. It doesn't make any sense, which is their E.
I really have no understanding of why that one is named Loyalty Program. It's literally a projectile that shields. Which part of this is anything to do with loyalty? Anyway, it's tier 2 take down to the bottom side. LGD continue to push. Remember, they do have Renata Glasc on their side, and they actually did sign up for the Loyalty Program. So they're going to get a lot of value out of this. Maybe even a free meal next time they go.
I mean, they're playing against WE, so, I mean, it looks like they're getting some of this stuff on discount.
This is their free meal.
LGD.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Look, I was about to say it, and I was like, that's a bit harsh. You know what? Like, there's WE are already having a rough time. I don't need to kick them while they're down. But sometimes I'll just give them a nudge with the toe, you know? That's it. But, this is easy for LGD. I mean, right now, 10,000 gold, 3 dragons up, Baron's going grand. Like, what do you really want extra here? Fearness has even just completed the whole breaker of this reset as well, which means Demon, who is already struggling despite the counter matchup, is now just going to struggle even more as Fearness will take over that lane.
Yeah, this has been a monstrous performance from Fearness. You know, the whole squad here. Haichao, especially on this Ahri. I mean, 10 stacks of the Dark Steel, 3 items already finished off, 404. And it has been his charms that have been starting a lot of the action. Like we talked about the engage tools or lack thereof for the side of LGD. I feel like it's not mattered so much because of the vision control they've had, and then Haichao just consistently connecting these charms to set up for follow-up from Quay, follow-up from Assum. And these kills coming on through. Shanks now going to try and make a play on the top side. Fearness overextending. Look how many people are here on the minimap. This is a 5v1 as Fearness tries to escape. Xing, though, has a lot of movement speed, zapping him on down. And Fearness will finally fall.
If Fearness was a real player, he would have just gone for it. He would have just gone for the 1v4 and see how it worked out. But nah, not going to be the case anyway. LGD, though, aren't really in a position on the map to try and get anything else. So just a bit of an overextension here for Fearness, just ahead of this dragon spawn as well. So at least the vision for dragon has been established on the spot side for LGD. But it might give a moment here for WE to push back out, try and get control of the area, and maybe we can finally see something coming out from WE. Because look, View is just doesn't have a health bar right now. Like, only an item and not even a half essentially completed for View. He's so far behind, even when you look at the levels. But Xing, with 3 items completed, is going to be hurting. So we got to see if maybe they can set up Xing to carry, but it's not looking likely with 3 items completed for Assum on the opposite side.
TP mid lane from Shanks here is the team with W just desperately trying to clear the super minions to be able to fight for river control. Drake up in 10 seconds time here as Assum on the Aphelios will be able to clear those minions. He has green and white weapons as well, which is nightmarish to have to try and fight into. The turret hits you, he gets a long range auto, and he will crit at this point in the game.
Moonlight Vigil went wide though, so actually a big ultimate gone from Assum, not able to connect onto Shanks. So maybe we're going bailout or bailout. Overtake,
hostile takeover.
Overtake. He's a car. It went miss. It went undertaking, okay?
That's illegal. I will say undertaking, illegal. Illegal gameplay coming out here from JinJiao because it did undertake the clone, that's for sure. They're just going to 5-man sprint it towards the bottom lane, though, where there is a wave standing by. Demon desperately trying to defend. The rest of WE are like, yeah, we'll trade that for a tier 1 in the mid lane. I don't think that's a good trade, WE. You're about to lose an inhibitor. Yeah. You lost Soul, you lose an inhib. Yes, you get a tier 1 tower, but I think you might have just traded that tier 1 tower for the game.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that WE aren't even able to contest after that massive ultimate from JinJiao is out of the question is insane. Like, LGD just run over, burst the ever-living hell out of the dragon. I'm actually moving to bot side. And again, it's just, I think this is the biggest problem we've seen with WE. No communication. No one really seems to know what they're supposed to be doing. And it just looks like, at least from the summer 2021 squad, they've lost their shot caller. We know it wasn't Breathe, because Breathe, even when he went across the BLG, was kind of saying, hey, look, I'm not really the shot caller, but I want to just be listened to in a lot of those interviews. And now we're kind of seeing, well, with Missing going across to JDG and JDG stepping up, it looks like losing Missing was one of the biggest mistakes for WE, because they just are running around constantly like headless chickens.
Yeah, they certainly are. It's Fearness now gets the pressure in the bottom side with his TP available with super minions. Like, it was already tough for Demon. It's not getting any easier. At least he has that frozen heart, but I mean, he's a full item behind. That side lane ain't getting any easier. LGD could just slowly but surely take control of this Baron area. They have a control ward in the pit, so there's no vision there for WE. LGD really, really want to pick. I think they just want to end the game. They're not bothered about the Baron, honestly. They're just trying to use the Baron to find a pick to set themselves up to end the game.
Yeah, I think they're just letting Fearness win out on bot. Like, Fearness just kills Demon if he ever gets the chance to get on top of him at this stage. So they're just like, all right, cool. We'll just let you do your thing. You've already got the super creeps now in towards the base. So Fearness walks across. They manage to establish now control on top side. Like, it's just this slow push from LGD. And look at the wave on top. It's doing work for them as well. So someone on WE has to go up to deal with that. And the second it does, I mean, you can go towards Baron while Fearness continues to pressure on towards bot.
JinJiao continuing to push that vision advantage further in as well, but the reset comes on through here. In fact, Fearness, no, he didn't reset. He was underneath the marker from Demon, but Demon staying next to the wall, keeping Fearness away. But even with Xing here, Fearness cannot be stopped. The rest of the team moves on to the Baron here, down to 4K already. Shanks wants to move in. You can see View on the top side, but they're far too late to the play. This is beautiful from LGD. Fearness just soaking pressure from 2, while the rest of the squad realizes what's going on and takes the Baron.
And realistically, you need 3 to deal with them. And you just don't have those resources to try and get it dedicated to that as LGD. Like, Demon isn't able to get the CC because Fearness constantly has the Q to get out of the equation. You're looking towards Shanks as well, who, I mean, a easy riposte situation if you ever try and throw out the abduct after the Fiora. So I just don't know how WE try to deal with this. And Unfortunately, they've just let this lead garner way too much. Fearness become far too big on this Fiora now that it just doesn't matter that Demon has completed his wit's end. That's not going to help you when Fearness is the one that you've got to try and face up against.
Yeah, the wit's end. I mean, he'll get a little bit of on-hit damage. So there's that. You know, silver linings, Dagda. Got to stay positive. That's in the Summoner's Code. Shout out to Lux. We're going to see LGD now. Just starting to pressure in the middle. I'm running out of things to say in this game. I'll be totally honest, Dagda. This has felt pretty over for quite some time. And LGD really dotting every single I, crossing every single T, even in literature that they didn't write.
Alright, well look, can we see View? We've had our undertakes and our overtakes. Do we get the Demolition Derby coming through from View? Just go for the engage. Like, go out in a blaze of glory. Just see what happens.
Oh, here we go. Speaking of View, he's caught. Will clone himself out to safety. That's 3 inhibs gone, though. I think that might just be game. I will say, View,
that's the parallel.
You actually played pretty well. The parallel parking. Yeah, luckily, he's got the parking sensors. Started beeping, realized there's enemies nearby. Back to immediate Demon with a stun there, but the charm onto Shanks denies any follow-up. In goes View to try and find anything that he can, but what he'll find is absolutely nothing here. The players are just too big at this point. Fearness did go down, but that's all WE will find. The Nexus being focused. Xing flashes out to safety. Shanks goes in, but it's too little too late. And LGD, a clean, comfortable win over WE.
Honestly, that was just LGD a step above every part of WE. Like, WE, I really liked the composition they had. I thought they had a ton of ways to try and push this game forward, like play through strongly jungle, lean into that bottom side. But View, massively inactive in the early stages, not really giving any sort of opportunity for them to fight back. I mean, Shanks wasn't able to get anything done this Sylas either. And even though Xing had started to get some advantages in that bottom side, just wasn't quite able to bring them to team fights.
Yeah, felt like a tough one for WE there. And honestly, I liked the WE comp more than the LGD one, right? Like, on paper, this looked like a good game for WE, but, you know, the top side falling apart a little bit. The Herald play at the start, where Fearness got 3 plates in the top side and there was a plate in the bottom side for LGD, I felt like there were just minor advantages in every single lane, and they just slowly but surely developed into more. And, you know, View got multiple 3-man knockups on the Wukong, but every single time it felt like there was no significant follow-up to those engages.
Yeah, I think Demon started off really well on that top side. We were talking about how he got those good trades against the Fiora, but it looked like Fearness, as the game went on, kind of just powered up and was able to find better moments to trade against Demon. And unfortunately, Demon kind of got outpaced on that top side. I mean, you can look at the damage there Fearness was able to achieve versus Demon. And then that just kind of got compounded when we got Koi and Haichao go for that dive on top side, set Fearness up with that initial tower as well, and it all just kind of fell apart then for Demon. And with Fearness having that full control, that's when, as you say, Munch, the map control from LGD, the understanding of what they could achieve, giving the resources that they had, was just far and away better than what WE could try and do.
And look, we said coming into today, LGD needed this win. They need to win every game they have remaining. I mean, smart, clean gameplay like this is certainly a first step on the road for them. Fearness especially having a great game for himself, but honestly, the whole team are doing pretty well. Haichao's charms, I'd say Haichao probably my MVP, either him or Fearness. I think either one would be a reasonable shout on that one. It's just a phenomenal game coming out from LGD.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is just the amount of control that Fearness was able to bring to the table was insane. Haichao, as you say, had to act as that big engage tool because we kind of highlighted, hey, look, the hostile takeover isn't enough in fights to really be consistent, and we saw that oftentimes WE were able to maneuver away from that ultimate, but Haichao was on point, got themselves control, and just the fact that so often Koi was able to work with the spot side to start ramping up with these early dragons, everything was just going the way of LGD. So yeah, I don't know, I don't even know what to say for WE coming into game 2. It's like I don't know if anyone
I don't know if
anyone has seen Tyler 1 talking about Ludwig, where it's like Ludwig asks Tyler 1 what he could have done better, and Tyler 1 just replies anything. So it's just, I feel like that's where I'm at.
There's an even better clip. I can't quote it because it is aggressive, but just find the clip on YouTube of Tyler 1 talking about Ludwig donates and says, Hey, it was a pleasure playing with you the other day, and he just goes on one. It is hilarious. We're going to jump into a break, and we'll see what LGD and WE have for us right after.